When my son is born, I'm getting him a Saquon Barkley jersey. Matter of fact, when I have a son, maybe a daughter, it's going to be maybe Miles Saquon Barkley Johnson. And folks are going to ask, like, how come you naming your son, your daughter, after an Eagles running back? And I'm going to tell them, well, did you not know what happened on October 20th, 2024? Saquon Barkley is amazing. I love that guy. I love that man. You know what? The Eagles earned the right. The Eagles earned the right for me to do this today. The Eagles earned the right for me to do this today. I want y'all to get up. Get up right now. Get up because you know it's about to happen. You know it's about to happen. Everybody on Instagram right now, in like 5-10 minutes, we're going to be exclusively on YouTube. Fire, Eagles, fire on the road to victory. Fire, Eagles, fire. Score that touchdown. 1, 2, 3. Hit him low. Hit him high. Nakobe. Fire, Eagles, fire. Fire, Eagles, fire on the road to victory. Saquon Barkley. Whoa! I feel amazing. Oh, it's a great day. Everybody comment something. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about what Saquon Barkley did and what this defense did. Talk about Saquon Barkley first. You talking about a $176, 1 touchdown. Now, if Jalen Hurts got him in the flat, he was wide open in the flat. He could have had 2 touchdowns. And I was thinking, yes, Jalen Hurts, you are the tush push king. But this is Saquon Barkley's revenge game. You might as well let the guy go ahead and get the tush push touchdown. Could have got the 2. I'm just saying, could have got the 2 tutties. But look, a $170, 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley foul delivered. Talk about a guy averaging 10 yards a carry, dog. This is why we get so mad when y'all don't run the ball. This is why we get so mad, because then we look at it, we're like, yo, we have a great rushing attack. I didn't post the reel, but if y'all watched the full episode last week, I said, yo, I like what I saw from Kenneth Gainwell. Can we get some more of him? And he had half 100. Rushed for over 4 yards a carry. So look, this Eagles offense, it still isn't what we want it to be. It still isn't at its apex. However, when you have the opportunity to lean on Saquon Barkley, you lean on Saquon Barkley. You lean on this running game. That's what the Eagles should have been doing. And I'm glad that Kellen Moore had the game plan of, look, I'm running the ball today. The Eagles ran the ball, y'all, 45 times. 45 times. The Eagles ran the ball 45 times. The Giants ran the ball 18 times. Now, you saw the Giants, all them fans, they had the whole Saquon Barkley jersey, and then they go out here and cover it with the Singletary. That's on you. Talk about coping. That's the all-time coping move. Giants fans out here using their Saquon Barkley jerseys to be Devin Singletary fans and riding over to Saquon, John. Like, that's the ultimate coping strategy right there. How'd that work for y'all? And then it was funny. Y'all was booing for Saquon Barkley earlier in the game, and then you ended up booing Daniel Jones. Look how them boos go. And because we're talking about New York City, because we're talking about how down bad they are. Now, yes, the Yankees, they're up. The Mets, they're about to get, thrashed by the Dodgers later today. But again, this is why I've said if a New York person wants to talk crazy to you, especially if you're from Philly, it's two words: Saquon Barkley. And it's funny because I know that y'all's owner ain't sleeping too good tonight. He not. He not. Because y'all went ahead and put your franchise in Daniel Jones' hands, and you're seeing the product on the field. You're seeing the product on the field. But I appreciate y'all. I love New York. I live here now. And I went outside my crib and I said, thank you. Hallelujah. On the Lord's day, I appreciate the New York City football team, the Giants. I appreciate y'all. And shout out to the Meadowlands. Shout out to everybody. Oh my gosh. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. So I've been popping it. For y'all that are on Instagram, I'm gonna end this. So guess what? Get your butt on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead, show some love out here, man. Show some love. We going straight to YouTube or Twitch if y'all on there. Now, for my YouTube folks, comment down below what y'all see. My man Jackson, he said Jalen Hurts played good, AJ Brown played good. Saquon played like the greatest running back of all time, and the D-line, Philadelphia has earned their spot back as Super Bowl contenders. I want to talk about this real quick. I want to talk about the defense. I said this before the season started, but the Eagles' path to being Super Bowl contenders was having a top 5 offense and a middle-of-the-pack defense. Like, their defense can't be terrible. But if it's like 13, 14, 15 at the worst, 12, like around there, you're talking about a real contender. Like the Lions. The Lions, they have a great rushing defense. They don't have a very good passing defense. They're around like middle, or they're maybe around that like 10, 11 range. But they're not super, super elite, but they're not bad. But they can become contenders. Matter of fact, they aren't. It's not even just they can become. They are contenders because they have an elite offense and they have a defense that can get the job done. That can get. We ain't asking y'all to be the Chiefs. We ain't asking y'all to be the Steelers, but it's like we ain't asking y'all to be the Titans, although they did lose today, but they do got a good defense. We're not asking y'all to be the Chargers defense. All we're asking you to do is be serviceable. And this Eagles defense was more than serviceable. I'm about to take this off. I'm getting hot. But this Eagles defense, it was more than serviceable today. And I know that we have a lot of Georgia Bulldogs on this Philadelphia Eagles team. We got Nakobe Dean. We got Jordan Davis. We got Jalen Carter. We got Nolan Smith. Now, this new name for the Eagles throughout this week is going to be the Philadelphia Bulldogs, because the Philadelphia Bulldogs out here showed up and they deserve their praise. Talk about Nakobe Dean. He had his best game as a pro. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 4 QB hits. Nakobe Dean snap. We're going to talk about him more. Bro, 2 sacks? That's what we want to see from the guy with the green dot. Nakobe was snapping. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 4 QB hits. Shout out Nakobe Dean. Let's talk about Jalen Carter. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. My man was snapping out here. Talk about Nolan Smith. 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit. Well, I guess if you get a sack as a quarterback hit. Who else? Josh Sweat. I just love when Josh Sweat does his celebration. I love that. I missed that. I really did. And I'm glad that he has had back-to-back very good games. And all this defense needs is some confidence. They got that. I like what Vic Fangio is doing. And we have to highlight Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff has gotten a lot of criticism. Warranted. It was warranted. But the thing was, he got some criticism. And these past 2 games, he has set the edge. He has been able to rush the quarterback. He has been able to be a difference maker in this defense. Nolan Smith has been snapping these past couple of games. And look, Brandon Graham, he wasn't super nice off rip for the Eagles. Imagine if the Eagles let go and gave up on Brandon Graham early on. He would not have turned into the defensive end that went out here and got a strip sack on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So all that says is not only investing in young guys, but be very intentional on helping them grow and not rushing the process. Yes, we know that this team is in win now mode. We know that. We know that. We know that this roster here, we're trying to go ahead and win a Super Bowl in the next, either this year, next year, or the year after that. That's what we have a 3-year window, I believe, right? Maybe more because we still got some young guys. But it's that balance, right? It's the balance of being in win now mode, but also saying we want to grow with these guys. We're not going to go ahead and trade away Nolan Smith because he didn't have the best rookie year and he didn't have the best start of the season, but we're going to stick with him. We're going to actually coach these guys because Mike Tomlin said something that I love. He was like, a lot of these coaches don't really want to coach. And that's the problem because the coaches that love to coach, what do? They go out here, coach their players, and they get better in the system. That's why the Steelers are always drafting and finding gems, and their defense is always elite. It's always elite because they go ahead and invest and let these guys grow. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm looking at Nolan Smith. I'm saying, yo, I see the growth. I see him getting better each week. I look at Nakobe Dean. Shout out Nakobe Dean, man. I really got to shout him out because if y'all a diehard Real Talk supporter, you remember that after Super Bowl, it was Nakobe Dean that was the first Eagles player that came on Real Talk. And I've been a big supporter of Nakobe. He rightfully earned the spot from Devin White when I told y'all he did. And then y'all try to call me a homer, call me a liar, and then we see who's cut, who's starting, who has 2 sacks this year in one game, who was flat out balling today. Nakobe Dean was everywhere. He was everywhere, and I love his celebration. Aya. I know a lot of y'all don't know what that is, but shout out Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to Bruz, man. Shout out to Bruz. Do your research, man. Do your research. He's out. Nakobe's out. That's my freaking man. That's my freaking man, dog. That's my freaking man. So look, this defense showed up. Shout out Quinyon Mitchell, too. Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, look, Quinyon Mitchell held Malik Neighbors in check. He did. Malik Neighbors was held in check by Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell's a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's top 10, gang. He's top 10. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Darius Slay make play. He's been limping. He hasn't been 100%, but he has made some plays. I'm looking at Cooper DeJean. I mean, look, not only has he been a difference maker on defense, but in special teams, these punt returns, I know I'm very hesitant, and let me know what y'all think down below. I'm very hesitant about playing Coop DeJean, on special teams because of how valuable he is on defense. But let me know if you like Coop being on special teams, if you're willing to take that risk because he's that good. He's dynamic. He's athletic. He gives us an extra pop. I still would not prefer him to be in special teams, but look, I'm not mad. I hope he can keep it up. Oh, wow, my hair. That's what that John do. I'm gonna get a hat real quick. I'm about to get a hat real quick, man. Give me some questions. Shout out Zahir in here. Zahir. Shout out you, man. My man Evan said, last week I said nothing to be happy about. This week is nothing to be sad about. I completely agree. This was the Eagles' best game since week 7 last year against the Dolphins. It sounds crazy, but it's true. This has been the Eagles' best game from start to finish in a year. In a year. That's why fans were, very restless and were like, we know how good y'all are. Prove it. And I had a message for the players. Maybe they heard it, maybe they didn't. But I had the message that was saying, look, if y'all are out here saying Nick Sirianni is our guy, we stand behind our coach. What we need y'all to do is to go ahead and play like Nick Sirianni is your guy. He's your coach, because the past couple of games, you haven't played with that urgency, with that effort. And now we saw against the Giants, when all the media is talking about Sirianni, all the media is talking about how the Eagles are not prepared. And they came into this game not only playing for Nick Sirianni, not only playing for Saquon Barkley in his revenge game, and they went ahead and put belt to ass on the Giants. Daniel Jones was seeing ghost. I like that. I like the sound of that. Daniel Jones was seeing ghost. He was flat out terrible. He was terrible. He didn't even get 100 yards passing. Like, what? And I ain't gonna lie, Quinyon Mitchell almost got another pick on him. Almost another one. Shout out DJ Khaled. They rushed for less than 80 yards. 80 yards. It was funny. These Giants fans, they had Singletary written over Barkley, and your man had 5 carries for 18 yards. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley had 17 carries for 176. Oh my gosh. And he could have had 2 if Jalen Hurts had better awareness, had better vision, and found him in the flat. That was wide open. Wide open. Now, look, was everything peaches and cream? No. But I have to give credit to the offense for not only having their most complete game this season. This was the most complete game from the offense. I know it wasn't as pretty outside of that pass to A.J. Brown. I know it wasn't as pretty, but look, Jalen Hurts, he went ahead, had 0 turnovers. What's 10 divided by 14? 10 divided by 14, it's got to be 80%. 71%. He had 71% completion percentage. The rushing attack had 270 yards rushing. We had 270 yards rushing, y'all. A.J. Brown had 5 receptions, 89 yards. You saw that 41-yard bomb. That was right after Jalen Hurts missed Smitty. So let me say this about Jalen Hurts. What I'll say about Jalen Hurts is that he needs to play better. He does. Because, yes, missing Devontae Smith wide open in the middle or missing Saquon Barkley in the flat didn't hurt you against the Giants. But again, if the Eagles are serious about being contenders in the NFC, then you can't make those mistakes against the Lions, against the 49ers, against the Packers again, even though I think that they're a little bit overrated. And honestly, if you're gonna rate the Packers super high, then what you have to do is ultimately say, yo, the Eagles had a great win against them. So, but I don't think the Packers are, no world beers, nothing like that. But ultimately, Jalen Hurts must play better because, obviously we can't be passing for less than 150 yards and expect expect to, win. Now, obviously, like this is the formula for the Eagles to win, though. You have to control the game by establishing the run, have to do that, and have to feed AJ Brown. That's the recipe right there. And obviously, you got to feed Smitty. Oh my gosh, any Devontae Smith better? He had -2 yards. -2 yards. He wasn't too good. But again, those like my initial thoughts. I still think. What's your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? I agree. You misspelled Bond, but I agree. Should we extend Zach Bond? I believe we should. I believe we should. Uh, he has been a revelation, and him with Nakobe Dean, especially these past couple of games, but really since that Saints game. Since that Saints game, this Eagles defense has been lights out. They've been lights out. This Eagles defense is a top 4 red zone defense. And we saw that in the beginning of the year when the offense was turning over the ball and they held the Packers in check. And now we're seeing how prolific this Packers offense is. So you have to look back and credit Vic Fangio. You have to look back and credit this Eagles defense and say, yo, y'all have been hooping in terms of stopping teams in the red zone. You got to give them that credit right there. So that's something that I'm looking to. That's something that I'm just taking note of, that this Eagles defense has been excellent in the red zone. And when you have teams like the 49ers who haven't been that good in the red zone, that's even better. That's even better. And all it is, once this offense really starts clicking, it's really going to be scary. It's really going to be scary. Again, I love, the whole Zach Bond extension. I like that. I like that. He's definitely been a revelation. Bryce Huff has been getting right. I think changing his stance, I think the whole thing, it was a comfortability thing for him. It was. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. But it was like a whole comfortable thing with him, man. Like he went ahead and has had 2 back-to-back, really good games, and you got to give props where props is due. Now, let me say something to folks that's saying it's just the Giants. You just beat the Giants. What do you expect? For the Eagles to lose? What do you expect? This is the same Giants team that beat the Seahawks. And the Seahawks beat the Falcons. And the Falcons beat the Eagles. So ultimately, it's the NFL. Everybody ties their cleats the same. like at the end of it's the NFL at the end of the day, dog. It's the NFL. So I have to give credit where credit is due and say, yo, this Eagles team had a dominant performance in back-to-back weeks. This defense hasn't allowed a touchdown. And look, this offense is leaning on Saquon Barkley, is leaning on A.J. Brown. Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown are top 2 in their respective positions. The only guy that I would have over A.J. Brown is Jettas. And the only guy I might have over Saquon Barkley is Derrick Henry. And that's even a debate for real. But Saquon Barkley is amazing. He's everything that the Eagles wished he would be. And I just can't be more happy that Saquon Barkley came back to the Giants and showed them how dumb, how stupid, how ignorant of a decision it was to not give Saquon Barkley what he was worth. What he was worth. But again, I appreciate it. I thank y'all. I have sincere gratitude towards the Giants organization. Shout out that guy, Joe Shane, because, oh my gosh, you are somebody that have made my life better. You have improved my mental health, because I'm like, well, thank you, gosh. I don't have to have a Sunday where I'm stressing, where I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. I thank God. And I know that y'all feeling this too, that it wasn't an up and down ball game. It was a little bit weird in the beginning when obviously this Eagles offense has gone 6 straight games, the most in franchise history of not scoring a point in the first quarter. Yes, that's something that we definitely want to clean up. It wasn't a perfect game from offense, but in terms of a perfect game, this is the best that we could have asked from this Eagles team. It's the best that we could have asked. I think Hurts needs to fix it one day. It is going to cost us, and it has. The thing about Hurts, when he's good, he's great, but he makes too many mental errors. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. I mean, look, he had that miss to Devontae Smith in the middle of the field for sure. But then on the next play, the very next play, he found A.J. Brown in stride and for a 41-yard touchdown. That's what he did. So you have to give him credit for going ahead, making a mental mistake, because that was his read. It was to Devontae Smith, regrouping, not flinching, and throwing a dot to A.J. Brown. You have to give him credit for that. Now, personally, I would have liked to see Saquon Barkley get 2 touchdowns. Shout out Frandle, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have liked to see Saquon to get them 2 touchdowns. He did not. Honestly, he was wide open in that flat, and Jalen Hurts should have saw that. It was clear as day. It was wide open. He didn't. But again, we were able to convert on that 4th and 3 because of Jalen Hurts when he powered through and got us that first down. And then Jalen Hurts went ahead and rushed the ball on that 1-yard line. And I know it's going to be a lot of people saying Jalen Hurts is a tush push merchant. Oh, he's all good for that. All his rushing touchdowns are fake. That's cool. But why isn't everybody else doing it? Answer that question for me. Why isn't everybody else doing it? Why? Why? I'm just curious why. Because if it's so easy, and you're talking about an offensive line without Jason Kelsey, without Jordan Mailata, and without Mekhi Becton. So what is we talking about? But what we're not going to do is crap this offensive line. So I'm going to check myself. Because before I end this episode and I regroup, I read my articles, I read my stats, and then I come to y'all tomorrow morning and post this episode for y'all. I want to say this. This Eagles offensive line balled out. Shout out Fred Johnson. On that play to Saquon Barkley when he went for 50 yards, it was Fred Johnson who set the edge. Shout out, bro, who is filling in for Jordan Mailata. That's not a small task to do, especially against this Giants defensive line, especially against the Giants defensive line, who with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, oh my gosh, that's a John. That's a John right there. So I got to give Fred Johnson credit. I got to give Cam Jurgens credit. You got to remember, yo, Jason Kelsey handpicked Cam Jurgens. He handpicked him. He did. And we're seeing him really have a Pro Bowl caliber year. He had a couple miscues early on in the season with the whole, snap and it being too high, and that led to like a couple turnovers. But ultimately, I think Cam Jurgens is still having a Pro Bowl caliber year. We have to give him credit. Shout out Tyler Steen, who came in for Mekhi Becton, and he's been good. He only lost his starting spot because he got injured during training camp in Tyler Steen. So I think you have to credit Jeff Stoutland for being the best offensive line coach in the league. I know Jalen Hurts took some sacks. I think a lot of those sacks, I'll be honest, I think some of those sacks, he got 4 sacks. I think some of those sacks that Jalen Hurts took, he held onto the ball a little bit too long. I do believe that. And he's got to improve with that. But the key to the Eagles winning and being dominant is for their defense to play top 10 top 12, top 13, to be in that range. For their offense, for Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown to keep doing what they are doing. For Jalen Hurts to have ball security, to be able to go through his progressions and throw in the pocket when he is needed. The Giants had a clear plan, which was we want Jalen Hurts to beat us. We don't want Saquon to beat us. Now, Saquon still beat y'all, but Jalen Hurts had to still make some plays to win the game. He did. And he did that. And I'm going to give the guy credit. I'm going to. So again, I'm very, very happy. It's not really too much I can say negative, except we have to score in the first quarter. We're too talented not to. I want to see more guys get involved outside of just A.J. Brown. I don't want to be so A.J. Brown centric. Obviously, he is a top 3 wide receiver, and he is one of one. Amazing. And he deserves to get the majority of touches. But there should never be a game where Devontae Smith has negative yards. Like, that should just never happen ever in life. That should never, ever happen. Ever happen. I'm looking at Hurts numbers, and I say, all right, like 114 passing yards. We obviously want those to be more, but we do see that in certain games, we're going to lean on our best players on offense. And Jalen Hurts is not better than Saquon Barkley. He's not better than A.J. Brown. But I'm looking at this, I'm like, with this Eagles receiving, Kenneth Gainwell was the second leading receiver with 11 yards. Then Saquon Barkley, 11 yards as well. And then Grant Calcaterra. So, I mean, I would like to see us not just give the ball to A.J. Brown, you feel me? But again, if he is your superstar wideout, number one option, you got to feed the man, right? You got to go ahead and feed the guy. So, but obviously we want Hurts to be able to, show more love to the other guys. Jahan Dotson, 0 yards. Devontae Smith, negative yards. So we want to see, a better job of that. But I'm nitpicking right now. I am nitpicking right now, so I don't even want to go too crazy. But I will say I'm thoroughly impressed with this defense. I know it's Daniel Jones, but to limit Daniel Jones to less than 100 passing yards and this Giants rushing attack to less than 80 rushing yards, that is a phenomenal feat. And you have to give the Eagles defense credit, give Vic Fangio credit for what they've been able to do ever since we lost to the Falcons. Because after that Falcons game, it looked like this Eagles defense was going to be a bottom 5, bottom 3 defense in this league since that Falcons game. And I'll get some numbers, when I read these articles and do my research, all that stuff. But look, this Eagles defense since that Falcons game has been lights out for real. It really has been lights out, and they got my respect. I appreciate them. All the guys. Shout out Nakobe. Shout out Jalen Carter. Shout out Zach Bond. Shout out Quinyon Mitchell. And I love to see Sidney Brown out there too. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. This is my instant reaction to the Eagles versus Browns. And some good content will be coming later on today. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Peace.